I'm at the Riverson there, pawn shop. Where you at now?
223, just got shots fired. Subject is down. You grab my taser.
This is the shocking and disturbing video of Walter Scott, a 50-year-old unarmed black man who was pulled over for a broken taillight and ended up dead. Saturday morning, April 4th, 2015, in North Charleston, South Carolina, Walter Scott, who was thousands of dollars in debt for child support, was traveling to an auto shop in an old car he had recently purchased. Scott was pulled over by Michael Slager, a 33-year-old white police officer. Slager took Scott's license back to his car, and Scott ran from the scene. Slager pursued on foot, and there's evidence of contact where Scott attempted to take Slager's taser but failed. Scott continued to run, and that is where bystander Fadina Santana videotaped the murder of Scott. He was shot 8 times in the back by Slager and died on impact. Slager went home, and 2 days later, when he made his official statement, claimed that Scott took his taser and was running for higher ground and a possible weapon when Slager fired. It wasn't until later that week that Santana uploaded the video to the internet and the truth was uncovered. Slager was arrested and denied bond and is currently awaiting trial for murder.
After seeing the video of Walter Scott being shot, you almost certainly thought that the police officer overreacted, but we don't believe Officer Slager is completely at fault. While we don't think he acted completely accordingly, he isn't completely to blame. We looked at where the issue started and asked the question, why did Walter Scott choose to run if his only offense was a broken taillight? In this video, we aim to explore why many African Americans in the North Charleston community feel the need to run from the police due to the troubled history between minorities and the police departments in North Charleston.
We interviewed Elder James Johnson, president of South Carolina chapter of the National Youth Action Network. He explained that the police in North Charleston are rural, South Carolina mostly, very historical racist area. Therefore, in North Charleston, many officers have previous prejudices and biases that the police department itself does not attempt to combat reverse these biases. He described that to us that so many individual officers in the police department are biased, that it's become systematically biased. This argument from Johnson claims that the African American population in North Charleston has reason to be afraid of the police department. He helped us develop this perspective. The African American community in North Charleston has significant reason to be fearful of their police department. After delving more into this issue, and hearing from Johnson himself, it isn't hard to imagine why Scott ran from his car away from Officer Slager, and why many others in Charleston would do the same.
Next, we interviewed local pastor Thomas Dixon, who helped us further understand the complicated history of the North Charleston Police Department and the African American community. Many police departments, including the North Charleston PD, have had a history of aggressive and abusive behavior. According to members of the community, the police department is very biased towards people of color. Pastor Dixon told us about the case of a young African American man who was stopped by police simply due to the fact that he was wearing a hoodie in the middle of the summer. The young man ended up dead, but his death was ruled as a suicide. He brought up questions like, would a young white man be stopped simply because of his clothing? People in the North Charleston community and us ourselves are skeptical. According to Pastor Dixon, people are afraid of the police since they are perceived as being racially biased. The NCPD does not listen to their claims and African Americans are routinely dismissed. Walter Scott was afraid of the police. We do not know the exact reason why he was afraid since we are unable to read minds. However, he had a reason to be afraid. The North Charleston community is afraid of the police. The NCPD has a track record of excessive force. In the minds of the colored people of North Charleston, who make up 47% of the overall population, the police department does not serve and protect. Instead of feeling protected and safe, Walter Scott and the colored people in the community of North Charleston are targeted by the police force.
The North Charleston Police Department's mission is to provide professional public safety services while working in partnership with the citizens of North Charleston to identify, prevent, and solve problems of crime. This mission claims to aid and provide safety to the community of Charleston. But if this is truly the case, why does the African American population fear the police so much? The only reasonable conclusion that we have drawn through our research is that there is a prevalent system of unconscious and conscious racial bias in the Charleston society and the justice system. Despite that the police of this city claim to serve and protect the people, we have concluded that African Americans are oppressed and therefore fear the police of North Charleston. Walter Scott is a clear and horribly unfortunate example of this fear and disregard found between the police and the African American people. On the surface, Walter Scott may seem crazy to run from a police officer, an action that ended in his death. But we have seen through our research, his fear of the police was completely legitimate.